Good afternoon. The word that's known. The headlines. Nigerian government harps on economic development, security as ministers take oath of office. Somalia bans TikTok, Telegram over horrific content. And court finds former security officer for attempting to leave Russia. Now the news in full. In Nigeria, as the ministers take the oath of office today, the priority focus of the federal government is on the economy and security. Top presidency sources inform newsmen that appointees will be guided by the 8-point agenda of the president as stated in his election manifesto. It was further alleged that the president might set target and performance index for the cabinet members in order to create an immediate impact on the economy, security and other key areas. It was gathered that President Bola Tinubu was determined to build on the achievements of his predecessor in the areas of blue economy, security, job creation, and anti-corruption. A presidential source noted that the president will speak generally to his expectations from the ministers and also challenge them on how they can work together in synergy to actualize his programs and policy as contained in his manifesto for the economic development of the country. It will be recalled that President Tinubu last Wednesday unveiled the portfolios of 45 ministers 9 days after they were confirmed by the Senate. Like his predecessor, the president will head the Petroleum Ministry, while a former senator, Heneken Lokobiri, is the Minister of State, Petroleum Resources. Somalia's Minister of Communication, Jamal Hassan Khalif, has announced a ban on popular video app, TikTok. The ban was also issued on messaging platform, Telegram, and betting website, OneXBet. In the press release, Khalif said that the said apps were responsible for indecent content and helping terrorists spread horrific messages to the public. The move comes days after the country's president, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, announced preparations to launch a military offensive against the terrorist group Al-Shabaab and eliminate them within the next 5 months. Several Western countries have issued restrictions against the use of TikTok due to data privacy concerns in the past months. The app, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, has been accused of sharing users' data with the Chinese government. Saudi border guards are accused of the mass killing of migrants along the Yemeni border in a new report by Human Rights Watch. The report says hundreds of people, many of them Ethiopians, who crossed war-torn Yemen to reach Saudi Arabia had been shot dead. Migrants told journalists they had limbs severed by gunfire and saw bodies left on the trails. Saudi Arabia has previously rejected allegations of systematic killings. The Human Rights Watch report titled "They Fired on Us Like Rain" contains graphic testimony from migrants who say they were shot at and sometimes targeted with explosive weapons by Saudi police and soldiers on Yemen's rugged northern border with Saudi Arabia. Migrants contacted separately by newsmen have spoken on terrifying night time crossing during which large groups of Ethiopians, including many women and children, came under fire as they attempted to cross the border in search of work in the oil-rich kingdom. This is the word that's now coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Voice of the West, Nigeria. Now our mid-news message. The noble person makes great demands on himself. The mean fellow makes demands on others. Always be noble rather than being mean. China's top diplomats have said that a Chinese-mediated entente between Iran and Saudi Arabia was driving a wave of reconciliation in the Middle East and pledged to firmly support Iran on issues concerning core interests. The Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi made the comments during a phone call with his Iranian counterpart Hossein Amir Abdullahian. Wang told Amir Abdullahian that Belgium appreciated Iran's recent steps to improve ties with Saudi Arabia, including his meeting with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah. He also pledged to continue to support countries in the Middle East in exploring a development path that suits their own national conditions, strengthening communication and dialogue, adhering to unity and self-improvement, and realizing good neighborliness and friendship. The surprise entity between Iran and Saudi Arabia, brokered by China in March, followed years of bitter rivalry that had destabilized several Middle Eastern countries, including Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and Bahrain. A Moscow court has ordered a transgender woman, Katrina Meyers, to pay 300,000 rubles for attempting to violate an order forbidding her to leave Russia over a case involving the possession of classified information. The ban was imposed before Meyers changed her gender. Meyers was previously a captain in the Federal Security Service in Siberia. The case details are unknown as the court materials were classified. Information added that Meyers was detained at a Moscow airport in December while trying to leave for Mexico. Meyers said at that time she faced humiliation over being a transgender. Here again are the highlights of the world at noon. In Nigeria, as the ministers take the oath of office today, the priority focus of the federal government is on the economy and security. Somalia's Minister of Communications, Jamal Hassan Khalif, has announced a ban on popular video app TikTok. A Moscow court has ordered a transgender woman, Katrina Meyers, to pay 300,000 rubles for attempting to violate an order forbidding her to leave Russia over a case involving the possession of classified information. That's Reservoir That's Known, edited by Temizokola Yiwola and delivered by Oluwatoyin Ojayemi. In today's news talk, Abiodun Dalalire of the Directorate of News and Current Affairs examines the alarm raised by the chairperson of Panel 2 of the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Kano, Justice Flora Aziye, that some lawyers were attempting to bribe judges in her team. It calls for the investigation of the allegation by relevant authorities to rid the judiciary of corruption.
That the chairperson of Panel 2 of the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Kano, Justice Flora Azinge, last Tuesday raised an alarm that some lawyers were attempting to bribe judges in her team could not have taken some Nigerians by surprise. It confirmed the apprehension in some quarters, suggesting that justice is now for sale and for the highest bidder in the country. Though bribery allegations are not new in the temple of justice, some were proved to be true while some lacked merit. What, however, makes the latest of significance is that the alarm and save our soul plead came from a judge sitting on an election petition tribunal. Justice Azinge claimed that this is the second time a colleague judge complained about some lawyers prosecuting election matters before her attempted to corrupt the system by offering bribes to her and her colleagues. She stated in the open court that money is flying and it's being rumored that a staff collected 10 million naira. Justice Azinge did not, however, elaborate if the staff who collected the bribe was in her court or in another court, but warned that she could not take kindly to any further attempt to pervert the course of justice through corruption. The National Judicial Council, NJC, has disciplined judges in the past on account of bribery as a way of cleansing the judicial temple. In October 2018, the NJC recommended the dismissal of 2 judges accused of corruption by the EFCC. In 2022, the NJC probed 15 High Court judges after it has dismissed petitions against 51 judicial officers of the federal and state governments. In the alarm raised in Kano, the judge alleged that lawyers are behind the bribery allegation, which casts shadows over Nigeria's judicial system, a complex issue that is threatening to erode public trust in the pursuit of justice. What a pity. The chairman, Kano State Branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, said he read the report of the bribery allegation in an online newspaper and will only say it remains an allegation, and Justice Azinge, who is the chairperson of the tribunal, should have formalized a complaint channeled to the NPA or the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee for necessary action against the erring lawyer. The NBA chairman said lawyers are not immune to prosecution. Newstalk agrees with the submission of the NBA chairman. He who alleges must prove is a common legal cliché. Justice Azinge could not claim ignorance or not familiar with these legal terms. It is important to note that not all lawyers engage in unethical practices. The sector of judicial corruption remains an albatross, national shame, and serious challenge that the Nigerian legal community must confront head-on. It is a fact that many Nigerians, particularly the privileged, are corrupt, and in such circumstance, the judiciary is not immune. But as custodians of the Temple of Justice, the society expects our judicial officials to be above board. After all, they are said to be the last hope of the masses. Newstalk believes they cannot afford to fail. Corruption within the judiciary undermines the very essence of a fair and impartial legal process, as the judiciary is the fundamental principles upon which justice is built. The consequences are far-reaching, affecting individuals, communities, and the overall integrity of the rule of law. No genuine investor will be attracted to a society where justice is denied and the rule of law rubbished. The NJC should be further strengthened to face the challenge of corruption among its folds, to maintain its enviable status and integrity. Newstalk charges the NBA to do more in bringing to book the few corrupt elements in their folds by sanitizing the profession known worldwide as noble. Newstalk further charges the NJC, NBA, and relevant security agencies to pick up the allegation of Justice Azinge against the lawyers who attempted to bribe the Kano State Election Petition Tribunal members by ensuring that offenders are brought to book. This is one of the ways that the ugly train could be nipped in the bud and the nation's judiciary rid of corruption.
That's Newstalk by Abdul Maliri of the Directorate of News and Current Affairs, examining the alarm raised by the chairperson of Panel 2 of the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Kano, Justice Flora Zinke, that some lawyers were attempting to bribe judges in her team. The police called for the investigation of the allegation by relevant authorities to rid the judiciary of corruption. It was presented by Ushayo Babatunde. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.
You are live. On Osho Radio. Osho Radio. 104.5 FM.
From Lagos to Abuja, from Abuja to Enugu. Indeed, in every nook and cranny of Nigeria. OSBC Radio to Nigeria for you.
Lumba, Kabakabo, Tarafario. Yeah, Diginobi, forgive me what up, you know. As I see your sexy face and your baby belly, tell I have to change my ways, I tell you, yeah. Be myself, buddy.